Hi, welcome to Motivational Moments with Coach Tami. First of all, I want to say I'm so excited about this new year and this new season, this new time of sharing different topics and nuggets that God has given me just to help us throughout different situations, transitions, just different moments of our lives, right? So for those that don't know, I am a Christian Wholeness Coach um, and the founder of LaSalle Motivation and Inspiration, as well as LaSalle Coaching. And again, just wanting to get back to these moments where just have time of sharing and impartation with some natural and spiritual things that I think will help us throughout life. So on today, we're going to be discussing the necessity of decluttering. The necessity of decluttering. Many of us go through the process of decluttering our lives at certain times of the year, whether it be spring or winter cleaning or preparing for a new year. Many of us undertake the time-consuming and oftentimes overwhelming task of getting rid of old things or cleaning those areas that seem to be overrun and out of control. Sifting through old clothes, shoes, bags, suits, ties for my guys, makeup, photos, knickknacks, and different household items. We go through the task of inspecting each and every item, going through a mental checklist, determining its value, deciding whether or not it stays or if it goes. It's honestly, if it's done properly, a wonderful self-care activity that helps us create the environment we desire in our home, ultimately making way for a fresh start. But what if I told you that undergoing that same task internally is just as, if not more important, than doing it externally? Truth is, some of us are emotionally overwhelmed, overrun, and out of control internally because we don't want to deal with the work of being vulnerable with ourselves or even giving ourselves permission to get rid of habits, mindsets, and people that no longer serve us in healthy ways. While we need to make sure that we do the internal inventory to inspect the items internally that are broken, out of place, or simply don't fit. Like the natural items, we've held on to some things because their presence gives us a certain level of comfortability, and we just can't seem to let it go. But we need to be comfortable with doing the uncomfortable work so we don't become natural or spiritual hoarders, allowing things that were once good for us to pile up and become potentially hazardous to our health. I don't know about you. I've watched the show Hoarders sometimes, and when they enter the houses, right, sometimes room after room after room are filled up with so much debris and so much garbage, so much junk, just so many things that make the home uninhabitable. But again, just like we allow that to happen in the natural, if we're not careful to consistently, go through what it is that's occupying our space and getting rid of it once it no longer serves purpose in our lives, we do the same thing spiritually. We do the same things internally. Some of us have piles and piles of anger, piles and piles of hurt, piles and piles of frustration, piles and piles of bitterness, piles and piles of hurt that's just stored up in us internally and making our dwelling place no longer habitable for the Holy Spirit. And so I want to encourage each and every one of us, take some time to not only declutter your home, not only declutter your external space, but take some time and do an internal inspection so that you can do an internal decluttering. It's time for some of us to get rid of toxic thoughts, toxic ways, toxic mindsets. It's time for us to let go of the memory of what that person did or what that person said that's really holding us bound. There is a time to do that. How do we know? Well, Ecclesiastes 3:6 says, there was a time to gain, a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to throw away. Listen, as we continue into this new year, let us take some time to be intentional in the complete inspection of our lives. Truth is, we can't afford to naturally or spiritually allow ourselves to be overrun with things that are merely taking up space, overrun with things or overwhelmed with things that are weighing us down and becoming hazardous to our mental and emotional state, hazardous to our way of living. We got to get rid of these things, rid of these thoughts, rid of these emotions that really don't serve a purpose. Let's not just take time to beautify our lives and environment externally, but let us invest in beautifying the atmosphere of our lives spiritually. That's our motivation moment for today. I hope it was a blessing to you. Stay connected with us, and I'll see you next week for another motivational moment.